Morning. Morning. Today, today, today is another day. 222018. Here's the story. This is the anniversary of my house burning down. Okay, heading to 2 years. 2 years ago, they burnt my house down. This group up here. 3 years ago, they started with the sound weapon attack. Ultrasound, high frequencies beamed at my house 24/7. They stole an LRAD weapon from the Bradford Armory in Bradford, Vermont. They used it. They burnt out 2 boards. I listened to them do this on this radio because I could, at the time, I knew exactly what was going on right from the beginning because I posted on YouTube some sounds on the radio, right? I knew right off the bat. I researched everything, right down to the artificial intelligent harassing device, the laser reader writer into the home. The one thing I didn't know about was the thought processor concept, which was the Google Thought chip. This is 3 years ago. I didn't know about that. I knew there was a bug in my ear that can hear me talk because I would talk out loud, and it received a signal and transmitted. I knew there was one in my throat, right? Right down here. Okay. So there was one in my throat. I assumed there was one in my ear and maybe throat because my throat tonsils had a big problem and my ear hurt a lot. So I go to the doctor, Central Vermont. This would be 3 years ago, around this time, right? Because I had surgery now. Which would have been, let's see, this would have been 2016. So I had surgery August of 2015 for my neck. I had a huge neck mass, the size of a plum in my neck, right? They told it was a parotid gland. I thought it was a cleft cyst palate because it was a reoccurring problem. They couldn't identify. I went to specialists that could tested it, fluid, no identification of the fluid as an infection or cancer. It was like I had a burn under my skin, and the burn was filling with fluids. You know, if you ever burnt your finger, you get a fluid blister, right? So it was like I had this fluid blister inside my face, right? And they didn't know. I had no clue. At the time, I have no clue this is going on. I have no clue that people are this deceptive and evil that they would go as far as putting a chip inside your body to listen to you and in your home. I assume they were in the home. I knew they were using laser on the big picture window because you can bounce light off and listen to the laser or the signal on the window. I could hear it, kind of. This is back in August. I went on my radio back in August before surgery that summer. I recorded stuff. I could hear signals in my recordings, like this recording I play over and over right here. So I can hear this. This is like one of the recordings, newer ones, but some of the older ones, you can hear. I swear to God, it sounded like people talking on these channels, but I couldn't tune it in to the exact frequency at all. Could not tune it in. This one. You hear that? So there's nothing I could do about the chip inside my ear. Whoop-de-whoop-de-doo. I probably can at some point. But there's a thought chip. This is that Google Thought. This must have been when it came out. This must have been, if you look it up, 2013 is when these new chipsets came out. And then there was a generation before that, which was the earlier version, probably 2010, 2009, back when I had surgery. So they put this in Dartmouth. This was a thought perceiver reader, visual speech interpretation chip. Like I said, based upon my later listening of recordings, audio, video that I made during my photographic studies around the home, and my endeavor into videography and photography, I was listening to these old recordings, and the audio channel was noisy. You'd be talking, right? You're like, walking around, the dogs are running. I'm just videotaping, right? And you could hear this. Right? And constant in the background. You're like, gee, I got a ground loop problem here, you know? And I'm telling myself that. I go back 15 years ago and I listen to my recordings. And I'm like, gee, these are clean, quiet, crisp, clean. Bird song, no noise at all, but the chirp of the birds, no static signal, no noise, right? So I'm sitting there. I know this happened, right? At the time in August, I had no clue they put it in, but I knew they did something because of the scar was so humongous, right? And my eyeballs hurt so bad. I'm like, why do my eyeballs hurt? They obviously must have popped the eyeballs out and put something behind them, right? Based upon what I read, if they put this one chip sits right behind your, I think it's your right eye or left eye, right behind the, right in the upper frontal lobe. And it's very small, right? And it's unique, right? So I have no clue, right? I start getting this illness effect, right? I start picking up the sounds. I report what I hear immediately. I contact the FBI, I don't know, maybe the White House. I wrote a little blurb, the NSA, saying I picked up some coded messages on the AM radio. I called the power company, WEC. They said, oh, it must be an electric fence. And I'm like, no, this is not an electric fence. This is an actual Morse code message, and it's very loud. Right? And I'm listening. And if I was to write this out in Morse code, you know, because I was into ham, you know, you would actually have a message. It's like somebody was just doing a pulse on the AM, you know, they weren't set in yet. Do you know what I mean? They arrived, they set up a basic transmitter, right? So, and then there was the sound, the sonic signal beaming in the house with a super high frequency, right? Making your ears ring. Now, what they were doing there is they put these little rice ear tabs, I assume, in my ear because the doctor found a syringe hole, right? Which would have been 4 months after surgery. I went back to the emergency room because my neck was swelling up. It was hurting real bad. And the doctor checked my ears and found a syringe needle hole in my ear and flushed it out. It was a scab, right? So I come back home. My ears are ringing like a motherfucker. My feet were sweating profusely. So what they were doing, I assume, with these little things is they cause a feedback like this. Hear that? So they were causing that nonstop in my ears. Okay, that's me holding my microphone near the speaker, right? You have a mic, you have a speaker. When you turn it up, you create a... Right, you understand? So they created that in my ears. No one else can hear it but me because it's the feedback. That went on, and they would turn it way up, way down. They tried to peak it way out. In the meantime, I'm trying to concentrate while they're doing that, but they're also interjecting RF sound and talking at that very high frequency. No one else can hear this now. It's quiet as can be. Normal hearing for a normal human being could maybe, you could probably hear 8K if you're lucky, right? And some of these sounds are up at 10K, 12K, 13K. Once they ring your ears up that loud and you maintain it, then they send in a signal that combines with it, and it actually sounds like, you know, it's not loud like this, but it's kind of weak like this. Like, this is Obama the ghost. You gotta tell what I tell you to do. You must follow my command. You understand me? So this goes on. They're doing this. And I'm going, hey, hey, fucking nitwit, nitwit. I'm yelling outside my house because no one else can hear me but the nitwit, right? Down the road, right there at the trailer, right there. So I'm recording, I'm broadcasting on live stream. They're yelling at me on their sound tube, stuck out the window. This is like a big 5-inch round diameter sewer pipe sticking out about 3 feet out the window. Okay. I go and I take pictures and I'm like, gee, how can I prove this to myself and to other people they're doing it? Because the minute they see me in the road, they start yelling at me. But I didn't know they had the Google Thought chip, right? So I'm thinking it's kind of weird how my brain is kind of perceiving the incident occurring, how they're able to perceive my events before I even perform them or suggest them. And my brain is like, gee, they must be listening to me intensely. You know what I mean? Like listening to me walk and move around, right? I had no real idea that they were actually preserving my or receiving these intuitive, perceptive thoughts of my movement, you know? And some of them were assigned to actual command comms. When Joe walks out the door, this says, it's like an automatic voice command, right? In other words, they assign my movements to a voice command on another channel that says Joe just left the house. So now I know they're doing it. So I'm going to go downtown. I go down to Chelsea, right? And I set up a fake dummy in the car. I don't think they knew I did this, right? And I pushed it down when I left, right? And when I came back, I set the fake dummy up and I went by really slow because they look out the window. They're nosy, right? So they look out the window and I got this fake person sitting in the front seat with me. It's I made a jacket stuffed with clothes and like a fake head and made it look like someone was sitting up front, leaning forward, very prominent, right? So I go by, right? This is fucking funny. I go by, I go inside, I pull in. I could kind of hear them say stuff, but you really can't, you know? So I go inside, I kept the recorder going, and I just hit rewind, and I went back before I pulled in. I'm watching the camera and the sound. And lo and behold, right, I'm listening to the recording, and the fucking woman goes, who the fuck is that in the car with them? And the husband goes, well, what do you mean? There's some woman in the fucking car with them, right? And like, well, what are you talking about? Right? So I hear that when I play back the recording. They must not have perceived it yet, because at the time, they didn't have the thought processor working properly with the sound, I guess. They weren't that keyed in. So my brain, how conniving I am, I'm like, haha, this sounds like an interesting little game to play, right? I'm going to take this another step further. So I grabbed my jacket that I put on the dummy. It's like an old London fog. And I get like a scarf. I wrap it around my head, and I put some big glasses on, right? I walk out, and I'm going to make like I'm getting the mail. I got my recorder going. The camera's going. Okay. So I walk to the driveway. I guess I'm keeping my mind open like I'm daydreaming. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. So apparently they don't hear, right? So I squat down real low. I'm like almost walking on my knees and my toes, right? Squatting, like walking like a duck. And I must be appearing like I'm 5 feet tall now, right? So I go walking out real slow with my head down like I'm 5 feet tall. I walk to the mailbox. I open it. I turn it with my back there. I stop, and I walk a few steps. I stop, like I'm looking at the mail. And I walk a few steps, and I turn in, right, off the camera, back in. I go inside, right? I hit rewind, and lo and behold, you know, I guess they're not aware that I'm recording and playing this back while they're harassing me because the sound is blaring, but I'm still maintaining concentration and listening and performing these tasks. So I go and I play it back, and lo and behold, you could hear Mr. Perkins yelling at his wife, who the fuck is that? Cullinan, holy shit, that's Cullinan's girlfriend. Cullinan, your girlfriend's fucking ugly. And you could hear her on the recorder because they're broadcasting into a microphone like this, but on a sound tube at 17K or whatever K, right into your hearing center, right? and they're going off. You're fucking ugly. She's fucking ugly. Right? And I'm inside listening to this recording, laughing my ass off, literally, because I'm like, I fooled these motherfuckers so bad. Right? This is 3 years ago. Okay. And it's been 3 years, and they still think they're fooling me, that they're not there. Okay. Since then, they acquired all these other people to jump aboard to help them fight this battle against me. And these are drug users, potheads, coke users, whatever. Young people in their 20s to 30s, a few old guys that are dummies, right? So they put the chip in me. I wasn't too keen on the chip. I wasn't familiar with what it was. I just assumed it was a receiver with a volume control. I had no idea the advancement of the chip. You know, it's fucking advanced. This chip in my ear is so fucking advanced. So now they got the chip in my ear. Days go by, right, and it's getting worse. This is feedback, you know. So that goes on. Imagine hearing that 24 hours. These guys, I'm listening to them talking. Something about this. They're auctioning off my motorcycle for $1,500 because the FBI most wanted. But anyway, so that's going in my ears, right? This is 3 years ago. Okay, day after day after day. Okay, I go to the hospital, no help. It keeps going. It goes. It goes. They say go to your general practitioner. Okay, I make an appointment. I call WEC again. I tell them, now this is on top of having electrical issues, okay? So this is on top of an electrical problem where my house is being pulsed. That pulse is on the radio, on YouTube. That was going into my electronics, my camera equipment, my sound equipment, and started fucking it up and disabling it, and it kept failing, and the computer kept shutting down. All these failures, right? So I'm trying to locate this failure. I figured it out right off the bat. They were using the wires in the home to generate this field that they then could accumulate power around the home and then utilize it to monitor the home based upon the field they generate, which is a unique signal that scientists have developed. They used in Ukraine, right? So now they try to do this to me. Whenever the furnace would kick on, there'd be this huge energy flow into the home as though there was a ground plane failure. And it would ramp my whole body up. I mean, my body would feel like I'm being high frequency, like the high frequency generator in the furnace was just pumping into the ground. So I started disconnecting everything, literally, right from the fuse box. And I went to every junction box in the home and I disconnected them. So I eliminated the effects of wire creating some sort of antenna in the home. And then I even went as far as pulling some of the wire down, because the wire will actually act as a conduit for any signal. This static, quasi-static magnetic signal they generate accumulates around any metal and then will radiate from that metal after it acquires. It's like science fiction. It acquires the object, charges it molecularly up by vibrating its frequency, and then it will emanate out as though it has infected that piece of metal. And then it emanates out as a field of energy and then goes to something else. And it's constantly being fed by this pulse of this frequency off the power lines through the smart meter. So I'm aware of this, okay? And I'm trying to block this. I disconnect everything. Then I'm to the point like, fuck this. I call the power company again. This is like 3 times now. They keep saying, oh, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. I'm telling them, listen, there's something wrong. It's going into my body. It's making my feet numb, right? I have all the wires disconnected. All that's left is the smart meter. So they do nothing again. They act stupid. They play stupid. Dan, Brent, Powell, the guys from WEC. That's Powell's friends. These are his connections with this Russian mafia shit. So they fucking blow me off, play stupid, like I'm a dumbass, you know? I'm the dumbass American nitwit, you know? So I go and I pull my meter. I get my gloves out. I got these heavy-duty gloves, right? And I pop the meter out, right? And I put it to the side. And I'm go back inside. I'm like, oh, holy shit. The house calms right down with this electrical field. And I'm like, cool, I can get a night's sleep now. So now I go, I lay down, and I'm trying to get a nap in. And then all of a sudden, they switch platforms now. Now they go to the LRAD weapon, right? And you can hear them talking. That goes on for, I don't know, 25 hours, right? And as they're doing this attack, I mean, with RF and sound and electricity, they're yelling at me as though they think they're brainwashing me and making me comply. You know, things like, oh, he'll never work for me. You know, like I'm going to be a bag man for this guy. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like they're gangster gamblers and I owe them money for gambling. So they're going to break my legs to get me to comply to pay. But in this case, they're going to try to create intense pain and then say either you work for us or we give you pain the rest of your life. And I keep saying, bring it on, give me pain, because I'm going to kill you, you fucking piece of shit drug dealer, fucking mafios. I'm going to fuck you up. And you're listening now. You watch. I'm 60. I have nothing else to live for anymore, remember? Why? Because you used your isolation team to burn my house down, disable both my vehicles at the time. Then you killed my mother, my father, my stepmother, right? Right? Killed my dog, all within 2 months of Christmas. Like it was a party, like it was fun times, right? So I go to the doctor appointment. This is back after the electric guy shows up, and I'm fucking ears. I can't even hear. I'm sick as a dog, right? My ears are ringing. So I'm going down, and I'm like, these guys, I know they're perceiving my movement somehow. I assume it's a GPS tracker in the vehicle because I'm picking up this interference in my electrical system in the car. When I turn it on, whenever I turn the car on, my ears will start ringing really loud. I turn the car off and my ears would die down. I'm like, this is fucking weird. Like there's some kind of mechanism that creates a feedback loop more prominent, you know, like this. So that would start to happen in my fucking ears. I turn my keys off. I'm like, what the fuck? And I start going through my car. I'm looking at this. I'm checking. I find this thing in my antenna behind my radio. I pull it out. I'm looking to any kind of little thing plugged in, you know? And whatever I did, I don't know what I did, but I was able to stop it from doing it before I left, right? So I leave the house. I find this device this is one of them because they have a GPS tracker that I find later. So I go, get in the car like I'm going to the doctor, and I get down to Chelsea, and I say, fuck this. Because someone told me, pack all your stuff up. And my idea was to go to my mother's house because she was having hysterectomy surgery or something. So my idea was to get out of here because obviously this is a hot zone. They're not going to stop bothering me. But somehow I got sidetracked on the way down to Connecticut, got lost, ended up riding around for 20 hours while they tracked me with the GPS. And I would blow them off by simply parking the car, jumping out really fast, disconnecting the battery, and going back in the car. And then I could hear them on these ears or like ELF transmitter receivers. So I could hear them. They could hear me. I could hear them. They can hear me, but they can't see where I am because I could hear another channel, other people going like, "Where'd he go?" I don't know. We had him right there on so and so, so and so. Where'd he go? I lost his signal. You know, you hear two guys talking while another two guys are harassing me. So this goes on for 20 hours. I go to the hospital. I have checkup done in Danbury because I'm very sick now, getting sicker from the infection. I try to get antibiotics again. Lo and behold, my sister at 10 o'clock at night with her husband shows up at the hospital. Blows my mind. Like, where the fuck did you come from? We're here to visit mom. I'm like, it's 10 o'clock at night. Visiting hours is like at 7:30 it ends. You know, I'm sitting around the hospital because I misplaced my car in this vast fucking hospital parking garage, and it's ice fucking cold, and I don't have winter gear on, and I'm walking around trying to, where the fuck did I put my car, right? They show up, lo and behold. They're like, well, why don't you come over to our house? So all my plans change now, right? Everything changes, my whole path. Go there, I go into the basement. I'm going to sleep downstairs with the dog and on a cushion, and the ears start ringing again, right? And I see these little lights in their attic or their basement, like a little dot. And I'm like looking out. I think they had like a picture window, or no, a basement window or something. And I hear this high frequency, and there's the guy talking. There was a guy called Obama and Powell were their names, right? And there was like a tag team. One was the evil man, and one was his evil henchman, right? And they're just yelling at me. And they start telling me, finally get to sleep. They wake me up with this high frequency ringing because they're getting a direct feedback, right? And they get me in a dream state. They got me what do they call it? Sleepwalking, I guess, in the basement. And they got me doing all this shit, right? Finally, I'm like, fuck this. I get out of the basement. I finally get the light because my sister turned the light off in the basement. And there was no light. And I'm in pitch dark. And I finally find the light switch, get out. I'm like, I'm out of here. Right? Because you turn the light on me. I'm like, fuck you. Right? So they do this shit on purpose. People like this love to fuck with you. It's a game. So they're probably playing a game. So I get in the car and I reconnect the battery. I get in the car and I go to leave, and there's a van parked to the left. So I take a left and I go down to where the van is, and it takes off and goes down. I turn around and I start to follow it, and it takes off. Right? And I'm like, that's odd. So I go out and I start driving down. I get kind of discombobulated a bit. And there's another van comes by. This guy goes by really slow, eyeballing me. Middle Eastern guy, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is odd. This is weird, you know? So I find Richfield. I head out. And I start going down. So now they start to use the deceptive earbuds, okay? They trick me, and they make it sound like they're going to help me by get this chip out of my ear that they found in the hospital, right? And they're like, Joe, we're going to get that chip out, but they're following you, Joe. And I'm thinking, gee, they are following me. You're not kidding. Someone's tailing me. And they're like, okay, this is what we did. They're on you. We got some people out down there. And they actually convinced me of this. They tricked me to make me think, because I'm visually impaired, okay? I'm disabled. I'm like, if I was to lose my vision in my good eye, I'd be fucking blind. You understand? I'd be like sitting in my car blind, waiting for someone to help me. The people who were watching me to help me, this is what they did. These are my helpers, the watchers. They tell me there's a car sitting there running, right? It's on the right. Oh, no, it's on the left. I go around to the left. I pull in. There's a car running. It's a red car, they said. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? It's a goddamn red car. I get up, I look in it, the keys are in it, it's running, I get out, and I'm like listening to these earbud things, talking like, yeah, you're not kidding, it's right there. He goes, well, get in that car, right? Leave your stuff in your car, hop in that car, and you got to drive down the road and go get off exit 18, and there's a medical center right there. We want you to pull in the back, okay? This is what they said to me on these earbud things. So I'm thinking, shit, fuck, I was just at my sister's, I was at the hospital. Maybe someone actually cares and is watching me, because I called the government now, remember? So I called the government, you know, and I'm thinking that the government is good. Like there's good people out here that help you. No, I'm wrong. They don't help you. If I was blind, these motherfuckers, I'd be in a goddamn fucking Who the fuck knows where I'd be right now if I was blind? You know, they'd experiment on a blind man like you wouldn't fucking believe. So they tricked me. I get in the car thinking I'm going down the road. I think it's right down the road and that you guys are on me, following me, right? Because this, you know, so I take off. I go down a ways and they tell me in my ears, turn the radio on. So I go and I turn the radio on. And they say, put the DVD in. There's a DVD. I put it in. Hit track 1. So I hit track 1. And lo and behold, there's instructions. And it's my sister's voice now they're using. They use a voice changer, I assume. Go down to exit 18, take a right. We're going to see if we can get your ears out. And it's like a direction, like a Mission Impossible disc, right? Meanwhile, while they're talking directly to me, as though it's a two-way radio in my ears, while they're telling me there's water under the seat, we have the metformin prescriptions in the glove box right there, right? It's in a bottle with some blue tabs in it. I go open up the glove box, and lo and behold, there's a bottle, right? It's like a vitamin bottle, but it had blue pills in it, like my metformin at the time. I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking odd. I couldn't find the water, right? But the other stuff they said existed did, you know? And I'm like, how did they know that? You know, everything they did was a little more convincing, you know? So I'm thinking, gee, this is legitimate. Someone's actually helping me. And I'm going to go back, is what I'm thinking. I'm not stealing the car. I assumed it was placed there for me and that the medical place was down the road. So I ended up going down. I'm like, where the fuck is this exit? It wasn't as close as I thought. I'm stuck on the highway now. I get off. I get lost. I don't know where I am. They say, oh, there's the house right there. I go to the house. I knock on that door, right? My dog's with me. I bring my dog with me, right? I put a sleeping bag on the back seat so I don't get hair on the person's car, you know, because the dog's shedding. And I'm thinking, all I'm thinking is they're going to go and they're going to stick some tweezers in my ear, you know what I mean, and pull out this little rice tab, because I researched what it is. They're like little tiny rice pieces that they put in your ears. So I research it, and I think that's what I think it is. That's what I think they're doing. Well, lo and behold, no, it's all fucking game. You know, just like they're doing to some of the people around town here. They gave them a little Fisher-Price toy radio, right? These people have this little Fisher-Price toy radio, and they think they're talking to command comm. And they think you got the Fisher-Price. This is a very top secret FEMA radio system here. It's for emergencies only. So they're duping these people up here, okay? They duped me. They tricked me. I get arrested, right? And I got an infection in my neck is swollen. My ears are ringing. My eyes are watering. I can barely see, right? And then the cops are giving me a hard time like I'm doing something wrong. I have a hospital band on. I have the EEG tabs all over my body, my arm, my chest, right? I'm telling them I was at the hospital last night. I'm trying to get my script. I can barely think. I feel sick as a dog. The guy is saying, sure. They're treating me like I'm this alcoholic, drug addict. I'm telling them, no. Look, I have my fucking hospital tag. Why don't you take me back to the hospital? You know, something's wrong. I'm having a bad reaction, you know? Did they? No. They had a preconceived notion, right, of what they were going to do. They put me in, they're called it the Whaley Hospital or the Whaley Holding Cell, where they have the same sound system set up on their intercom. And what do? They run sound through the speakers in this room, and they talk to you with the same thing, this thing. This sound. They use this fucking channel, whatever this is, right? So they do that in Whaley for 21 days while I talk to them. And what they do is they call it interrogation. So what they're trying to do now to me, I stayed up the whole time, 21 days. I didn't go to sleep. I just laid there and waited for court. So they interrogated me, questioned me nonstop all night and day. They played these little mind games. One day it was a game like they were God and the angels, and that I was dead. This is what they're telling me. They're trying to brainwash me. and that I was in my Judgment Day court hearing, and that they were talking about instances in my past, and I was being judged on, right? But they were using this tactic to pull out information that I might give them that they can use as bribery on me, or some sort of what they call guilt bribery, where they create guilt within you. At the time, I had no idea the chip they use also records brain wave functions, because the tabs are throughout my skull now as well, because they did this at the surgery in Fletcher Allen. They fucking went downtown on me. So now I have no clue. They're tuning the system up is what they're doing. Because, like I said, on live stream, I hear them talking. This is back in August, September, November. And I didn't know what they meant by this, paying someone $12,000 to tune me up at a jail. I didn't know who they were talking about. I had no idea they were talking about me, because they had to tune these devices up. They're infrared receiver transmitters. They all got to be tuned, right? Numbers assigned to them, tasks, whatever. One by one, you do this, little by little, you know? So they were doing that in the jail, and I'm listening to them, and I'm trying to block them doing it, you know? I'll pull your ear, he says, right? They were one of my earlobes, my nose, my eyebrows, my neck, the back of my neck, my chest, my hip, my penile area, my groin, my ankles. There was one in my heel. The guy said, just keep tapping your heel. Like he was, they're playing good cop, bad cop with me now. Trying to make me think they're trying to help me. So they're brainwashing me into thinking that they're good cops when they're bad. Apparently, I guess if I was to get out and they were to have brainwashed me, I would have become one of the confidential informants that would have thought they were good cops. But they're not. They're bad cops. These are bad people playing good cop, bad cop. And the reason why I know this is because they're stupid. You know, I'm intelligent. I got 2 years of college equivalent, which is 10 years of going to school part-time while going to college to get an associate's degree. I'm fairly intelligent. I'm not a dumbass like these people, right? So they're interrogating me, but they're interrogating me like thugs with no real, they didn't sound like police. They sounded like two people playing good cop, bad cop that were dumbasses. They were wise guys, like they were superior, right? So I started fucking with them, with the chip, right? I started to learn about it in the jail now, that it somehow would pick up. Now I could hear feedback in my ears of my own personal generated thought by saying, test 1, 2, 3, test. You could say it under your voice real low, like just moving your tonsils. Test 1, 2, 3, you know, like that. But if you're in silence, like meditative mode, you can pick up the signal very weak in your ears. So I started to learn how to do that. And then it was very difficult for me to learn how to do the mind thing, where you can use your mind to count. But I picked up on it pretty fast because I started mimicking their voices as they talked to each other. There was 2 guys interrogating me. While interrogating me, they were recording me. And all they kept saying is, how are we supposed to use this? You know, what's the judge going to think about this? You know, and I guess they're selectively picking out different things. So now I'm like, I catch on. I'm pretty witty like this. I'm very smart. I'm like, so these guys are fucking with me, huh? So I'm listening, and I start mimicking their voice, because they must be wearing like headsets, right? And they're intensely looking at meters. So they're like staring, and they must not be aware. They must have a mic, headsets, and they don't really watch each other, right? So as they're talking to each other, playing their game, because they like tag team off me, I start mimicking their voice and saying stupid shit. You know, I'll say something like, because I learned their names. I go, John, get me a coffee. Real quick like that. And the fucking guy goes, what do you want in it? Right? Because I guess they think they go offline. They must go offline recording, but they still talk. So he goes to the guy next to him and goes, what do you want in it? And the guy next to him goes, what are you talking about? What do I want in it? I said, don't you want a coffee? He goes, yeah, give me a coffee. And I'm like, no fucking way. No fucking way, I said. I fucking fooled them. I fooled the nitwit into getting the other guy a coffee. And I'm like, in my brain, they must not be picking up on this level of your thought. You know? I'm like, this is fucking awesome, man. I said, I just fucked these guys' brains up and I'm going to keep going. So I went for fucking 10 days fucking their brains and they never figured it out. Right? They never fucking figured it out. They just said, what the fuck's wrong with this? What the fuck's wrong with this? Why is this happening? Why is our system bogging down? What the hell's going? And this is all I hear. They're like constantly resetting the computer. They're saying stuff like, gee, we can't use that for the judge. He goes, why? He goes, listen. He goes, it's your voice and Cullinan's voice talking at the same time. He goes, we can't use that. Right? And what it was me doing the guy's voice, but the recorder picked up both voices simultaneously because I was still fine-tuning my practice, you know, the mimic wars, I called it. So the mimic wars went on. So finally I get out for court, and the district, what do they call the guy? Public defender tells me, listen, they want you out of the state. And I said, what? He said, this is the deal. Plea deal or a lower charge of whatever, using a vehicle without permission, and it's a year suspension, and they don't want you coming back. You can't come back. You can't even pursue this case anymore. You have to go and you head to the Vermont border and you do not ever come back to Connecticut. Right? And I was like, whoa. I said, well, my mother and father are down here. If they die, I can't even go to their funeral. He goes, they don't care about that. They don't want you here. Okay? Because apparently I fucked up their little covert game in Connecticut, you know, with this computer artificial intelligence system that they use to harass inmates and try to pull out interrogated information or to play them and steal from them. So somehow I fucked that up. And my parents die. I don't go down to see them. I'm isolated still. And the game continues now. And it's getting worse and worse. Today they said this morning, wait till you see our new RF weapon, he said. He goes, this one is going to bake your fucking body, Cullinan, and there's nothing you can do about it. So now they're getting a new weapon that they're going to point at the house. That's going to be a nonstop RF weapon. They have a medical X-ray machine that pulses. They have all this other. There's something about radio frequency weapons these people are dead set on using. Okay, I mean they're just going off on RF. I got it coming in from 3 locations. I mean it actually makes noise on my receiver, my detector. You can see the signals. It pulses the fucking waveform on my scope. You can see it. It's like, it's not natural. I can go down to Lake Fairley and I put my equipment on and it's a quiet signal. I come back here and it's like, so that's this story for now. I'm going to try to get my fire going because it's ice cold. You think anyone would believe me? Mr. Bowles, Perkins, Smith, right? Ordway, Thompson, Prime. Now, these guys are all arrested for heroin possession in the area. These are drug dealers linked to the drug dealers in Beacon in Connecticut, New London, Connecticut. They're linked to the correction officers that move the drugs in, Jamaicans out of Jamaica. Very good product, they said. I hear them talk about it all the time. Okay? They have jails up here. They use the same system up here. The point is there's this good, bad, but there's a bad is more powerful than the good now because they want to arrest you and put you in a holding cell. And if you have these chips in you, they cause intense pain and they try to control you. They're never going to control me. I'll tell you that right now. All this motherfucker says, because they'll lose my signal or something. He's dead, they said. Thank God. I get up and I take a piss and the woman goes, what the fuck? What the hell's going on? There's movement in there. And she starts crying. What's going on? I thought he was dead. What's going on? This didn't work. This is a fanatical, psychopathic individual. This is a controlled injury. This is a control. You know why? Because the woman's crying. Because you know what they're going to do to her now? They're going to torture her with pain. Do you understand? Now she's going to endure pain because she didn't complete the task. These guys doing this, they're going to love it. Because now they're going to ride this bitch and give her pain. Now my what do you call it? Public defender was sweating his balls off. His face is dripping sweat. I'm like so suspicious. My ears are hurting. I feel sick, ill, because I've been this way for years. And I'm looking at him I'm like, this is suspicious. This guy's nervous, like he's really nervous, you know. So apparently they're in the system, they're in the prison system, they're in the court system, they're in the town system, they're in the road plow system, they're in the system of this, they're in the cop system, they're all embedded all throughout this area, right down New England, right into New York, covert little arrangement. Normal citizens that go to work and come home, they have no fucking clue the extent. It's like it's back to mafia days. You better shoot the motherfucker before he fucking hooks you up and kills you. You know what I mean? These motherfuckers, they have fake fucking police officers up here. These guys drive around as though they're a cop, but they're fake. And then a real cop comes by and you're like, what are you doing here? You know? Didn't you see the other cop? He goes, what are you talking about? I didn't see anybody. You know? And I'm like, this is fucked up, man. And there's no way they're getting by. They're getting away with this right in front of the cops because the cops are too naive to think this is the United States. You'd never do this. You never do this in the United States. You'd never go and kill an old lady in her home and then just like substitute your grandmother for her. You know what I mean? And then your grandmother's living there, and like some guy shows up to visit his grandmother, and his real grandmother's gone, and this new one's there who calls the cops and says, "Get this out." And the kid goes, "No, that's not my grandmother." And the cop goes, "That's right. No, you don't understand. This is my grandmother's house." And they say, "No, this has been my house now for a long time. That's not my grandson. Get him out of here." Right? And the kid is like, "Whoa, grandma, that's not my grandma." And he pulls out a picture. Yeah, that's not your. Yeah, no, this is her house. Right? And the cops don't believe the guy or the mother. And the mother and the father come over with the kid and say, "That's not my mother." You know, the guy says. And it's some old lady that occupied the house. Right? So what does a family do when they do that? What do you do? So the psychopathic son does what? He goes over and he kills the old lady. What'd you do with my fucking grandmother? And then they find the grandmother where? In the fucking basement. Right? This is happening up here. And it doesn't happen 1,000 times. It probably only happens 1 out of 1,000. Right? That's not many, right? That's only 10 per million. So 10 times 300. That's 3,000 times in the United States. That's not bad. You know? These nitwits are listening too. And I'm telling you now, nitwits, come fuck with me this spring. Because right now, I have a few people on my list that will not stop pointing something that burns my skin. You understand? And I stand there and I watch my skin burn. Because the guy's got it up so fucking high to get it through my house. Because I live underground like 6 feet. So he's got to pump this thing in. And before it hits the ground, it's like glowing red. Because it's got to go through. It's a laser. You know? And he don't care. Because he's with the in crowd now. You know? He's in with the in group. Right? Underdog, 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 underdog. That's me. The guy's yelling, he's an underdog.